Namaste, Dandavat Pranam. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master on Vishnupad Paramahamsa, Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're also paying our full obeisance to Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada for providing us this wonderful commentary and translation of Srimad Bhagavatam, and following the guidance of Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, we're praying to Srimati Radharani. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati told us that if we cannot understand Radharani within the 18,000 verses of Bhagavatam, then our study has been for waste. So we are humbly praying to Srimati Radharani. Yadi seva vanchitasya ma yasya kripaya vayam labema sarvam prapnuma prayojanam damni Shri Bhagavat Pade Krishna sambandhi sarvam cha yadi na jani mahetutam ashtadashasu sahasreshu Shlokanam Bhagavat Oktishu Radharanimna Vindamatada Nishphalam Bhagavat Adhyayanam Radhikaya Kripam Vina Vyartasyat Sarva Parishrama. If we are cheated out of serving that personality whose mercy awards us everything we need, including residence in the Lord's holy Dham and all things connected to Krishna, and if we cannot understand or discover Radharani within the 18,000 verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, then our study of Srimad Bhagavatam has been pointless. Without the mercy of Srimati Radharani, all our efforts are in vain. So we are continuing from Canto 4. Chapter 25, the descriptions of the characteristics of King Purañjana. Text 36. Disjagatosi badram te gramyan kaman abhips pase udvahisyami tamsteham Svabhandubhir Arindama. O killer of the enemy, you have somehow or other come here. This is certainly great fortune for me. I wish all auspicious things for you. You have a great desire to satisfy your senses, and all my friends and I shall try our best in all respects to fulfill your desires. Purport. The living entity comes down into this material world for sense gratification, and his intelligence, represented by the woman, gives him the proper direction by which he can satisfy his senses to their best capacity. In actuality, however, intelligence comes from the Supersoul, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he gives full facility to the living entity who has come down to this material world. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 2.41, Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha kuru nandana bahu shaka hyanantascha buddhayo vyavasayinam. Those who are on the spiritual path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. When a devotee is advancing towards spiritual realization, his only aim is the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He does not care for any other material or spiritual activity. King Purañjana represents the ordinary living entity, and the woman represents the ordinary living entity's intelligence. Combined, the living entity enjoys his material senses, and the intelligence supplies all paraphernalia for his enjoyment. As soon as he enters the human form, the living entity is entrapped by a family tradition, nationality, customs, etc. These are all supplied by the Maya of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, the living entity, under the bodily conception of life, utilizes his intelligence to his best capacity in order to satisfy his senses. Text 37. Imam tvam aditistasva purim nava mukim vibo mayo panitan grinana kamhabogan satam sama. My dear Lord, I have just arranged this city of 9 gates for you, so that you can have all kinds of sense gratification. You may live here for 100 years, and everything for your sense gratification will be supplied. Purport. Dharmartha kama moksha nam dhara samprapti hetava. The wife is the cause of all kinds of success in religion, economic development, sense gratification, and ultimately salvation. When one accepts a wife, it is to be understood that he is being helped in his progressive march toward liberation. In the beginning of life, a person is trained as a brahmachari and is then allowed to marry a suitable girl and become a householder. If one is thoroughly trained in household life, he finds all facilities for human life: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Everything is there if it is executed according to regulative principles. Text 38. Kamnu tvad anyam ramaye hyarati jnanam akovidam asamparaya bimukam asvastana vidam posam. How can I expect to unite with others who are neither conversant about sex nor capable of knowing how to enjoy life while living or after death? Such foolish persons are like animals because they do not know the process of sense enjoyment in this life and after death. Purport. Since there are 8,400,000 species of life, there are also many different living conditions. In the lower grades of life, in plant and tree life, there is no system for sexual intercourse. In the upper grades, in the life of the birds and the bees, there is sex, but the insects and animals do not know how to actually enjoy sex life. In the human form of life, however, there is full knowledge of how to enjoy sex. Indeed, there are many so-called philosophers who give directions on how to enjoy sex life. There's even a science called the Kama Shastra, which is the science of sex. In human life, there are also such divisions as brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. There is no sex life except in the grihastha or householder ashram. The brahmachari is not allowed any sex, and the vanaprastha voluntarily refrains from sex, and the sannyasi is completely renounced. The karmis do not practice brahmacharya, vanaprastha, or sannyas life, for they are very much interested in grihastha life. In other words, a human being is very much materially inclined. Indeed, all living entities are materially inclined. They prefer grihastha life because there is a concession for sex. The karmis think the other statuses of life are worse than animal life, for animals also have sex, whereas the brahmachari, vanaprastha, and sannyas completely give up sex. The karmis therefore abhor these orders of spiritual life. Text 39. Dharmo hyatrartha kamo cha prajanando mritam yasa loka vishoka viraja yana kevalino vidu. The woman continued, in this material world, a householder's life brings all kind of happiness in religion, economic development, sense gratification, and the begetting of children, sons and grandsons. After that, one may desire liberation as well as material reputation. The householder can appreciate the results of sacrifices, which enable him to gain promotion to superior planetary systems. All this material happiness is practically unknown to the transcendentalists. They cannot even imagine such happiness. Purport. According to the Vedic instructions, there are two paths for the human activities. One is called Pravritti Marg, and the other is called Nivritti Marg. The basic principle for either of these paths is religious life. In animal life, there is only Pravritti Marg. Pravritti Marg means sense enjoyment, and Nivritti Marg means spiritual advancement. In the life of animals and demons, there is no conception of Nivritti Marg, nor is there any actual conception of Pravritti Marg. Pravritti Marg maintains that even though one has the propensity for sense gratification, he can gratify his senses according to the directions of the Vedic injunctions. For example, everyone has a propensity for sex life, but in demoniac civilization, sex is enjoyed without restriction. According to Vedic culture, sex is enjoyed under Vedic instructions. Thus, the Vedas give direction to civilized human beings to enable them to satisfy their propensities for sense gratification. In the Nivritti Marg, however, on the path of transcendental realization, sex is completely forbidden. The social orders are divided into four parts: brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. And only in the householder life can the Pravritti Marg be encouraged or accepted according to Vedic instructions. In the orders of brahmacharya, vanaprastha, and sannyas, there are no facilities for sex. In this verse, the woman is advocating Pravritti Marg only and is discouraging the path of Nivritti Marg. She clearly says that the yatis, the transcendentalists, who are concerned only with spiritual life, kaivalya, cannot imagine the happiness of Pravritti Marg. In other words, the man who follows the Vedic principles enjoys the materialistic way of life, not only by becoming happy in this life, but also in the next life by being promoted to the heavenly planets. In this life, such a person gets all kinds of material opulences, such as sons and grandsons, because he is always engaged in various religious functions. The material distresses are birth, old age, disease, and death, but those who are interested in Pravritti Marg hold various religious functions at the time of birth, old age, disease, and death. Without caring for the distresses of birth, old age, disease, and death, they are addicted to performing the special functions according to the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. Factually, however, Pravritti Marg is based on sex life. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 7.9.45, Janmaitundari Griha Medhi Chukam Hi Tucham. A householder who is too much addicted to Pravritti Marg is actually called a Griha Medhi, not a Grihastha. Although the Grihastha desires sense gratification, he acts according to Vedic instructions. The Griha Medhi, however, who is interested only in sense gratification, does not follow any Vedic instruction. The Griha Medhi engages himself as an advocate of sex life and also allows his sons and daughters to engage in sex and to be deprived of any glorious end in life. A Grihastha enjoys sex life in this life as well as in the next, but a Griha Medhi does not know what the next life is about, because he is simply interested in sex in this life. On the whole, when one is too much inclined toward sex, he does not care for the transcendental spiritual life. In this age of Kali especially, no one is interested in spiritual advancement. Even though it is sometimes found that one may be interested in spiritual advancement, he is most likely to accept a bogus method of spiritual life beyond being misguided by so many pretenders. Text 40. Pitri Devarshi Martyanam Bhutanam Atmanaschaham Chemyam vadanti sharanam bhavesmin yad grihashramam. The woman continued, according to authorities, the householder life is pleasing, not only to oneself, but to all the forefathers, demigods, great sages, saintly persons, and everyone else. A householder life is thus beneficial. Purport. According to the Vedic system, when one is born in this material world, he has many obligations. He has obligations to the demigods of the sun and moon, King Indra, Varuna, etc., because they are supplying the necessities of life. We receive heat, light, water, and all kinds of natural amenities through the mercy of the demigods. We are also indebted to our forefathers who have given us these bodies, paternal property, intelligence, society, friendship, and love. Similarly, we are indebted to the general public for politics and sociology, and we are also indebted to lower animals such as horses, cows, asses, dogs, and cats. In this way, as soon as one is born in this material world as a human being, he has so many obligations and is bound to repay all these obligations. If he does not repay them, he is further entangled in the process of birth and death. The Grihamedi, however, who is overly addicted to material things, does not know that if he simply takes shelter at the lotus feet of Mukunda, he is immediately freed from all obligations to others. Unfortunately, a Grihamedi does not have any interest in Krishna consciousness. Prahlad Maharaj says, Matirna Krishna Paratasvatova Mito Bipadyeta Griha Vratanam. Bhagavatam 7.5.30. A Grihavrata is the same as a Grihamedi. One who takes sex life to be the supreme finds action in Krishna consciousness confusing, either due to his own personal consideration or due to his having taken instructions from others or conferring with them. He becomes addicted to sexual indulgence and cannot act in Krishna consciousness. And thus ends our reading for today. We will continue from text 41 on Monday. Before we finish, were there any comments or contributions from the assembled devotees? Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev Ki Jai. Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the worldwide devotees, Sama Bhakti Veda Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Nrsimhapali Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ju Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Giri Govardhan Gupta Govardhan Dham Ki Jai, Sham Kund Radha Kund Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Jai Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Scientific Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Princeton Bhakti Vedanta Institute Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari 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 Bo. Jai Shmati Bhakta Pragya Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.